Welcome to Oklahoma's #1 real estate broadcast, The Rick McCormick Show, live on the Artist First Radio Network. All past shows are podcasts. Find them at artistfirst.com. Now from the heartland of America and the great state of Oklahoma, USA, it's your host, Coach Mack.
Good evening and welcome to The Rick McCormick Show. I am your host, Rick McCormick. We're here to talk real estate and all things real estate. Here for the next 1 hour. We're going to have some great guests on. We've got a lot of action today, a lot of things to talk about. Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, they fly in on a Tuesday and meet last night and today. Had a press conference today, and we will tell you that outcome here in the second segment of the show. That means a lot about interest rates, which go directly to the aspect of real estate. And I hope we've got a lot of real estate agents tuning in today. I'm talking to a lot of people here. We've got a number of deals going, and I'm just shocked at how many people don't know anything about what's going on in our market. I mean, you've got to know the data. You can't really help your people until you understand where things are at. I had a recent agent, I said, something about inventories. Yeah, it's really tight. No, it isn't. We have a bulge of inventory here in our Oklahoma City market, and we have topped 8,100 this week. And we'll tell you a little bit more as the show goes on about what all that means. But right now, like I said, if you're a first-time listener, I'm Rick McCormick. I am the founder and owner of the Rick McCormick Realty Group, under the umbrella and powered by eXp Realty. eXp Realty is the #1 brokerage, fastest growing brokerage in the country today, fastest growing brokerage in the history of the real estate industry, with about 91,000 agents in all 50 states across the United States and operating in 24 international countries. We're in Mexico, we're in Canada, we're in the DR, we're in the UK, we're in Australia. It's the number of international countries. And so we, of course, right here, my group, the Rick McCormick Realty Group, we operate here in Oklahoma City. Beautiful Oklahoma City, sunny Oklahoma City, 84-degree sunny and just slightly cloudy here right now. It's 6:03 p.m. on June the 18th. It's amazing we're in the midst of summer, but I love it. I love the late evenings and dark to late. Of course, again, I love every season, Fall means basketball season, and we can't help but talk about Oklahoma City and real estate and property values and everything going on here in our city, which we'll hold for later in the show without talking about our Oklahoma City Thunder. We have brought this up on many shows past weeks, and while we are optimistic and we are fans, and I actually do host a sports talk show on another channel on our Chisholm Trail Network here in Oklahoma on KZLS and KCRC, 2 channels that go out over the state. And so we've talked a lot about that through the year, but our Oklahoma City Thunder are one 48-minute game away from the NBA title, the World Championship, right here. It's been a thing of beauty watching what has unfolded before our eyes. But right now, we're here today to talk about some of the things unfolding before our eyes in the real estate market. We got a lot of action going on. We got a lot of homes, a lot of properties for sale. We got a lot of new listings coming on the market. We got a lot of sold, closed out properties, 2 of which I did last week. Closed a property in Norman, Oklahoma on Rockingham Drive for Miss Kathleen Gray, a seller, and closed a buyer up in Glenhurst Villas in the Glenhurst neighborhood in northwest Oklahoma City, Jerry and Mary Pickett, 2 buyers. And that was my, let's see, how many transactions have I done with Jerry and Mary? They have some investment properties, so I've sold 2, bought 3. That was my 6th transaction with them. And if you're listening, I'll go out on a limb and say we bring you a lot of value. We do a heck of a job for our sellers, a heck of a job for our buyers. You want to maximize your listing. You want to maximize your property. And I know you may have a friend and your friend from church, his cousin and whatever, and that's all great. But you don't get to do this that often in life. Maximize your asset. The marketing, the advertising, the negotiation skill, all those things, they matter. They matter a lot. So if you're interested in on your home, I've written a book called Selling Secrets You Can't Afford to Miss. Our text line here, the Rick McCormick Realty Group text line is 405-310-7470. So let us hear from you. And if you'd like a digital copy, a Kindle copy of that book, no charge. Send it out to you. Selling Secrets You Can't Afford to Miss. Be happy to get it to you. And we'll get you going. And I've also written one for buyers. I've also written one about how not to panic when your listing expires. I'd love to work with you on any of the three of those, and give us a call. Give us a call. Let's talk about kind of what's been going on in the market here statistically and number-wise. Last show I came to you was down in Aventura, Florida, and at Grant Cardone and the 10X headquarters. And, of course, many of you know, listeners, that I coach brokers and realtors and a 10X certified business coach. And a lot of the information here that we talk about on the show are things that we use in training the real estate community. There is quite a failure rate among licensed realtors, a very high failure rate, about 90% in the first 5 years. While there's a lot of great people out there, I mean, our goal in this teaching and coaching program is to lower the failure rate, one agent at a time. So if you were to hear this, and Coach Mac 10X, you can find us on Instagram. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on X. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us on Facebook. CoachMac10X.com. We're out there in many places. There's a lot of content information. Also offer some challenges from time to time that you can join at no cost, and spend an hour with us going over maybe have the top 5 mistakes that new realtors make. We'll have a challenge about improving your listing package and your listing ability, and to get listings, and how to, when you meet with people, to exhibit that you're bringing value to them. And so there is a lot of training and education and skill involved in being a good realtor broker, and we work very hard to stay on top of our game. In addition to that, I have access to some unbelievable content with different follow-up strategies, sales strategies, and a whole encyclopedia of things that Grant Cardone has put together. And look up Grant Cardone 10X. Better yet, look up CoachMac10X.com. Going through the Cardone coaching certification program is quite a process. Now, many of you know, if you are listening to the show, you probably do know, you read the bio. I've been Coach Mac for many, many years. I was a college and professional basketball coach for knocking on 30 years, from about age 22 or 23 to age 52 or 53. And then in the last decade, we've been in the real estate space, and we've established that in a pretty good fashion, and at different times have been the number one realtor in the state of Oklahoma, or the number one realtor in EXP, and currently in the top 10 realtors in the state of EXP. We're devoting more time to the coaching aspect of things now, but we still work with people and still have some great listings, and work with people on selling their properties, work with certain people on buyers. Well, more on the seller side right now than we are on the buyer side, but we're still out there. One of the best ways that I think you can stay active and be a good real estate coach is by still being in the business and showing properties to people and working with people to negotiate and get under contract, and taking them through home inspections and taking them through appraisals and being there with them at closing. And then on the selling side, going in and sitting down, evaluating someone's home, and sitting down with them and talking about selling their property. And so, many of these people that try to offer this service and coach in a real estate space haven't done a transaction in 10 or 15 years. and that's not a positive thing. I had someone call me yesterday about Tom Ferry is got a big coaching program. Of course, the difference is that you don't get Tom himself; you get someone who's part of the Tom Ferry organization and who's trained and gone through some type of training, not as extensive as what I've done with the 10X and Grant Cardone, but and I'm proud to say I'm one of Grant's certified business coaches, and we focus on real estate. I've done some things and spent some time and helped some people to scale their business, but our primary focus is on real estate agents and brokers. But on the Tom Ferry thing, I mean, if you go back and check and read and research, they've got some outstanding information. He's a smart guy. He's helped a lot of realtors. But Tom Ferry never did a transaction himself. He's never been a realtor. And say, has he done a transaction in the last 10 years? He hasn't done a transaction in the last 25, 30 years. He hasn't ever done a transaction. I think that matters. When you're in this coaching space. Brian Buffini's another excellent one. He hadn't really been in the real estate game in 20 years. I follow them both. I mean, you have to study in order to be a good coach and a good mentor. I think you have to have mentors and have coaches yourself. But anyway, on to the like I said, I do want to see our real estate agents in this market. I know we've got more and more of them listening, but be educated on what we're going to talk about right now on inventory and sales and so on. So since in the last 7 days, the last 5 business days, we've had 569 properties close here in the Oklahoma City market. 569 close. We've had 662 go pending. So that is over 1,200. We're knocking on, around it off, but we're knocking on about 1,250 there sold. 569 sold, 662 in the hopper, going through escrow, waiting to sell. Now, new listings, 797, almost 800. Back on the market, 161. So just almost 1,000 between new listings and back on the market. We're about 960. Back going now. Another interesting component, price decreases, 947. We're going to find out that's about 11 or 12% of our existing inventory, price decrease. So all that means is it's really important who you're dealing with. It's really important who lists and sells your property. Very, very important. So 48 withdrawn, 80 expired. Last 7 days, 128 came off the market unsuccessfully for whatever reason. Either listing expired or is withdrawn. Now, let's talk about some of the reasons why all of this exists. It all goes back to inventory. And if you listen, you say, man, I get tired of Rick or Coach Mack. I mean, every week he's talking about inventory. It is the driving life point of where we're at, where the market's at. Stop a real estate broker agent on the street and ask, is this a buyer's market, is this a seller's market? A lot of them just pull something out of the sky and say, well, it's this or it's that. And somebody tell me the market's really tight. No, not really. Tonight, as we speak, I have 8,130 properties on the market. If you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex with 8.3 million people, that's not a high number. They have more than that. But in our market, in the greater Oklahoma City area, 1.4 million people. A fraction of that size. 15% of the size. 20% the size of the Oklahoma City Metroplex. 8,130. That's the most inventory in the past 13 years. That's a lot. Prior to COVID, we had 6,000 properties at any one time. 6,000 at any one time. So now we have 8,130, 8,130. That's a lot. All right. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to have Kendall Dexter from Security Financial Mortgage join us here in a moment. But I'm going to kick it back to the studio for a quick break. But stay with us here on the Rick McCormick Show because we will be back.
Today in America, many Christians feel frustrated as they watch their faith being used to further a worldly political agenda. It is as if our religion had been taken hostage, forcibly wedded to a particular political ideology or economic system, or else stripped down to a couple of hot-button issues. Ironically, in our efforts to take back America, we have ourselves been taken captive by the prevailing culture and politics of imperialism, greed, racism, and xenophobia that surrounds us. And so the struggle for the soul of the nation has also become a struggle for the soul of the church. How can we regain a political voice that is neither power-hungry nor passive, neither conservative nor liberal, but simply Christ-like in its concern for justice and the poor? Evangelical pastor S.J. Munson explores these issues in his hard-hitting book, Christ Held Hostage: The Hijacking of American Christianity. What this book has to say will both surprise and challenge you. Available from Amazon in paperback or Kindle.
Hi, I'm James Baller of Artist First Radio, and I would like to tell you about a fascinating new book from Crime Beat's Ron Chepsick and co-author Mike Rowe. It's titled Robin Hood of the Hood, The Life and Times of Teddy Rowe, Policy Kingpin, and it's published by Strategic Media Books. The book is a historical account of Theodore Teddy Rowe, who courageously fought the Chicago Mafia, more commonly known as the Outfit, for control of the lucrative policy racket in the Windy City. Policy, often called the numbers, is a form of illegal gambling or illegal lottery, played mostly in poor and working-class neighborhoods in the United States. In Policy, a bettor attempts to pick 3 digits to match those that will be randomly drawn the following day. For decades, Policy had been a staple in the black community, but when the white mob flexed its power in the late 1940s, many policy kings knuckled under the pressure. Not Teddy Rowe. Rowe famously told mob bosses that he'd rather die than give up control of his operation. Robin Hood of the Hood chronicles an exciting chapter of Chicago history. Go to the Kindle store at Amazon and buy it for just $2.99. For information about this book and other titles, please go to strategicmediabooks.com. That's strategicmediabooks.com.
Welcome to another broadcast of Spiritual Concerns, the Deborah Ruffini Show on Artist First Radio Network. We're live from England on Saturdays and Sundays, 3 p.m. New York, 8 p.m. London. All past shows are podcasts. Find them at artistfirst.com. I'll be your host, where issues relating to the spiritual matters of concern will be largely examined and discussed. Enjoy the show.
This is Oklahoma's #1 real estate broadcast, The Rick McCormick Show, on the Artist First Radio Network. Back to your host, Coach Mack.
All right, welcome back to the Rick McCormick Show, and I'm the host, Rick McCormick. And right before the break there, like I said, we were talking about inventory, and we had, like I said, here in the studio, in the background, you heard Maverick. He was pretty fired up about the inventory. 8,100, he's never heard those kind of numbers before. But anyway, that kind of, prior to COVID, our normal number was 6,000. So this 8,100 is like, 35% above where kind of we were at. In 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, we might have 5,800, 6,200, 60. I mean, 6,000 was kind of normal. And to give you an idea, during COVID, we dropped down 5, 4, 3, 2, hit 1,800 in inventory. 6,000 down to 1,800. Like, wow, will we climb back up? Yeah, we hit 3,000, 4, 5, 6, and we jumped up 6,500, 7,000. We got 8,000 plus, 8,100 plus. So we're in a buyer's market. We are in a buyer's market. 8,130 right now as we speak. So that, will your house sell? Well, yeah, you're going to have to be patient. You better get a good agent. My goodness. I mean, you better get somebody with a proven track record, a proven history. Me and myself and my team, I'm not the only one, but we're one of the best. We're one of the best. I mean, if you want to sell your marketing, your advertising, the things that go on, your presentation, it's more important today than it's been in a long time. It's more important today than it's been in the last 15 years. So keep that in mind. And we're getting ready to bring on Kendall Dexter, the mortgage expert and the owner at Security Financial Mortgage. We've talked over and over here. Go get your house right now. I'm going to wait till interest rates go down. You and 125,000 other people have that same thought. There's going to be a flood on the market. There's going to be competition. You remember my automobile analogy? Did you try to buy a car during COVID? They were shut down. Dealerships were open. Truck would roll in. They'd roll in 4 cars, 5 cars. 3 of them already sold. We got 2. What about the sticker? Yeah, their sticker price plus 18,000. Okay. Supply, demand, inventory, availability drives it all. In just about anything. We still kind of have occasionally here, they're not real intense. Gas wars used to be common earlier in my life. I have the good fortune of having a lot of chapters of life. A couple more than my guests here that are going to join us, but one station on the corner over here drops their gas prices. Across the street, they drop them. And the guy down the street, he drops them again. All of a sudden, you get a gas war. And by the way, you'll find that gasoline is probably cheaper more times than not right here in Oklahoma City than anywhere else in America. Some of our producers, some of those guys back there from Ohio, you guys, gas only $3.15 a gallon here. I'm gonna say you can buy it here somewhere for $2.30 right now. I saw it for $2.45 today. I'm gonna hit on there while we're talking and tell you the cheapest gas in Oklahoma City. But all of those things, like I said, there's supply demand. Our inventory's high. Buyers kind of are running the show right now. And Lord, if you're a cash buyer, dear Lord, I mean, you don't have to worry about interest rates. Call me right now. We can work you some kind of deal if you're a cash buyer. Some kind of deal. But high levels of inventory. I mentioned earlier that the Federal Reserve and Jerome Powell met today. Press conference, I believe, was 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And to come on and tell us the outcome of that and what it looked like and maybe why. Not just what it looked like. You can read that anywhere. But here we give you the facts. We give you the stats. We give you the data. Jerome Powell said this. Here's why that we think that he said this and what we might see in the future. There'll be another meeting just like this 6 weeks from today. Now, as I keep mentioning, Kendall Dexter, the owner of Security Financial Mortgage, here to break it down for us. Kendall, Jerome Powell today. Great to have you on as always, but Federal Reserve meeting, are you surprised? What happened? Are you surprised?
Happy Fed Reserve meeting day, Coach, although we haven't had a happy one for years now. And this one continues to disappoint. No change, not surprised. I do think from what I'd seen numbers like 95% chance we would see a decrease inside of the next 3 meetings, including today. And I didn't necessarily think we were going to get it today. I was hopeful. But no change, and they keep on just pointing to the inflation numbers and the job numbers. So not great news. Also, they interviewed the Fed members, there's 19, to determine what they see going forward. 7 said no rate cuts this year, which previously only 4 people said that. 2 said 1 cut, which was down from 4 people that said that. 8 said they would see 2 cuts, which is down from 9 the last meeting. And 2 said 3 cuts, which is the same number that probably the exact same 2 people that said it the last time. So we've got really an uneven, counterbalance of opinion in the Fed as far as what the correct thing to do is. 7, no cuts. 8, 2 cuts.
Wow. interesting there. I mean, President Donald Trump is starting to wear him out about he's doing his thing. He's busy with a lot of other things going on with what obviously some Los Angeles stuff, and then Israel, Iran, and nuclear weapons and all that. But he has started to harangue Jerome Powell to drop interest rates. I mean, and fuel the economy, and all of these things that they kept projecting, these prices were going to do all this movement with the tariffs. That has not happened. It hasn't happened. And inflation was slightly down in April and down in May. And I say June, I think it was maybe slightly elevated, but I mean, essentially no movement. So all this thing with tariffs, it has not happened. They're projecting that maybe it will. The same reasons that they raised them and more than doubled them over the course of about a year exist now seemingly to lower them. But so we didn't, even though things are kind of positive right now, this is what I took out of it. We're not going to lower them because we think this may happen in the future. Is that what happened?
Yeah, basically. And but they keep on pointing to the same economic indicators, which I'm not fully convinced are accurate to justify it. And I think there's more political reasons for this than there is actual economic data. Personally, meanwhile, in the last 2 weeks since we were on here last, we have gained 48 basis points, so rates are a little bit better. I do think we're going to probably, market's closed tomorrow, and I expect we'll take a hit on Friday. But decent run over a 2-week period to produce, on the better side of the rates we've been accustomed to the last 3 years.
Okay. I mean, that's reasonably good news that we think that they're a little better than what we've accustomed to seeing. That's not all bad. So right now, where are we in relation to this time, say last year? And I didn't, we didn't, in production meeting, I didn't ask you this, but just, from what you can see and remember, punch up on your computer, we're sitting here in mid-June of 2025. I would love this. I've said this over and over. I'd love to see us drop them down to 4.75 to 5.25, about 5, and they consistently stay there for a decade to where people don't even talk about interest rates. When it's time to buy a house, they just go buy a house. They don't. When people are ready to buy a car, do they sit around and talk about interest rates? I don't think so. If you go to buy a TV at Best Buy, you're going to, do they, I think I understand the home is one of the largest purchases we ever make, but it's continuous dialogue, and I think we could get to a place to where we had a stable front and it wasn't even a discussion. That's where I would like to see us get. But where are we now in relation to 1 year ago, Kendall?
I'm looking right now at loans we did a year ago, actually, you mentioned that, and it's exactly the same. So the predominant rate that we were choosing a year ago on a conventional loan was 6.625, which is pretty much the predominant rate. Now, I'd say that right now I would encourage my clients to take more like a 6.99 and ease the cost. And so I think rates are slightly a tick higher, where clearly I have that same viewpoint last year, and probably we could have bought it on into a 6 and an 8, and we were like, nah, let's take the 6.6, let's wait for a better opportunity. And now we're more like, you can buy the 6.6, but let's take the 6.99 and wait for a better opportunity on conventional lending. And then government rates are significantly better in every market. So we're talking, to a tune of a half a point. So, we were maybe locking in 6.125 a year ago. Now we're more inclined to be in the 6.49 kind of range on the government loans, with the opportunity to buy it down. But again, is this the right opportunity to buy a rate down? I don't believe so, and most of my clients agree.
Yeah, exactly, because you spend that money buying it down. We've talked about those numbers and what they look like. That if we hit the spell in the next 12 months where interest rates go down, then obviously that wouldn't be financially wise to put a point. If you're buying a $325,000 house and the loan on it is, you're putting whatever the loan on it's $300,000. A point is $3,000. 2 points is $6,000, and so you're buying that rate down. If you're convinced the rate is going to stay where it is or go up, that might be a decent strategy. But if you think the rate's coming down, not a good strategy. Is that accurate way to look at it?
Yes, but the main thing to understand is when people think of a point, they're thinking they're getting a point lower, a full point lower interest rate. You're spending 1% of the loan amount. You are not. That 1% of the loan amount is not buying the rate down a point. If that's going to buy the rate down a quarter of a point, typically maybe 3/8 for the right 3/8, but it's not the kind of difference people think of. So if you're going to on a $300,000 deal, let's say we've got a 6.625 on the table, and we're going to talk principal and interest only. We're talking 19.20 principal and interest on 300,000. If that goes to 6 1/4, 18.47. So we're talking about $73 a month, and you're spending $3,000 for that. So 3,000 divided by the 73, it's going to take 41 payments to get that money back. That's a pretty good exchange by mortgage standards, but 41 payments from now, a lot will have happened, more than likely. Are we going to see better opportunities in that 41 months? That's the kind of conversation we have when we're choosing an interest rate.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, interesting stuff. Back to Jerome Powell, the economy. Of course, we're huge advocates of our Oklahoma City area and the housing costs here and just the overall livability. But I put gasoline in. So I know we got some people out around the country listening. Least expensive gasoline in Oklahoma City right now is $2.33 a gallon. And our text line is 405-310-7470, 405-310-7470. It's on the site. But let us know, what's the cheapest gas where you live, where you're at? Right here, we can buy it for $2.33 a gallon. That's, it's a regular, least expensive prices with the ethanol and so on. 100% gas would obviously be more than that, but to the gasoline prices are down. I mean, the economy is more stable than it's been, so it's interesting that the Federal Reserve today say they think this may happen, and they think this may happen because of tariffs. So they're supposed to be wise men. I guess we'll wait and see, but very interesting. There've been some projections, like we said, that they were going to drop 50 basis points, and they dropped none. So what did you say? You saw, Kendall, that somebody said there was a 95% likelihood. Some guy said he thought they'd drop 50 basis points. That
was the market expectation that I was reading, was up to 95% after Trump's most recent tirade about rates, that they would decrease at least one of the 3 upcoming meetings, today being one of them. We got another one in 6 weeks, another one 6 weeks after that. So 2 more opportunities for them to drop the rates. And I think we'll see a cut, but, who knows? It's been a very tough guessing game. Yeah, it most certainly has. All right, to that point, we're going to kick it back to the studio for another commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to be joined by Mr. Brad Martin. And got a lot to discuss with him, owner of Premier Insurance and local investor and businessman. But right now, back to the studios. But stay tuned because we will be back.
That's right, at 10 p.m. every second Wednesday on ArtistFirst.com. It's the worldwide internet show, the GL Henderson Radio Hour. Tune in to hear his special guests from professionals, live topics, and get a blast from the past with musical legends like Lisa Lisa, The Temptations.
I know you want to leave me, but I refuse to let you go.
Manhattans.
Honey, you are my shining star.
Shanice. Shirley Murdoch.
And we slept the night away.
Dana Dane.
To make it interesting, it's me, Dana Dane.
Tina Marie and more. Tune in to the GL Henderson Radio Hour, the king of relationship drama fiction. Every second Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ArtistFirst.com.
Hello, I'm Ian Anderson. And while I'm probably best known as the voice behind the band Jethro Tull, I also have a second big passion. I'm wild about cats. Big cats. Not surprisingly, one of my biggest hits was Bungle in the Jungle. I'm especially passionate about stopping the extinction of cats in the wild and have led fundraising efforts to protect many threatened species of wild cats. I'm also deeply concerned about how we treat cats in captivity. Big Cat Rescue has given over 100 abused and abandoned big cats a new home and new hope at their 45-acre sanctuary. And that's music to my ears. Visiting Big Cat Rescue and taking a guided tour of the facility is an exciting way to see these cats up close and learn about the issues they face. I have to tell you, the place rocks. They have lions, tigers, panthers, cougars, bobcats, and many more. To support this non-profit corporation and schedule a tour, visit them online at bigcatrescue.org.
This is the Rick McCormick Show, live on the Artist First Radio Network. Back to your host, Coach Mack.
Good evening and welcome back to the show. I'm Rick McCormick, your host. We're here talking real estate and all things real estate. Glad you're with us. Check out our, myself and my guest here, Kendall Dexter, and we're about to have Brad Martin. The information and bios are available there in past shows, and check it out. Security Financial Mortgage, Premier Insurance, myself, the Rick McCormick Realty Group, along with Coach Mac 10X. .com as we train and coach brokers and realtors in the real estate space, and try to, again, take this same information we're giving to you and educate our realtors and prepare them for success. So we're joined now Mr. Brad Martin. Brad, great to have you as always, and a lot of things going on. I mean, what does the insurance world look like? And I know recently we've been dealing with a situation with flood insurance, and we'll spend a minute or two about that. We've got a guy who's got a house contract over there, and it's really not what you would think of a flood zone typically. It's got a creek nearby, and I don't know that this creek is flooded in the past 100 years or so, but FEMA and the federal people have deemed it in a flood zone. So tell us a little bit about anything going on in insurance, and talk to our listeners a little bit about what has to take place if you have a property and it's deemed, in quote, a FEMA flood zone.
Yeah, good to be back. Good to join you and Kendall, talk about everything real estate, sports, and all the above. Yeah, I mean, from an insurance perspective, we are continuing to see, rates honestly stay steady, which is good. We're not seeing a lot of increase from a rate standpoint, which is music to everybody's ears. But to your point, when you start talking about flood insurance, so flood insurance is something that not a lot of people deal with, but if you do deal with it, you become an expert on it really, really quickly. And, what ends up happening is FEMA can come out there and do these surveys and say these houses or house is in a flood zone. And then once it has been deemed to be in a flood zone, there's kind of some qualifications to that. Is it a 50-year, 100-year, 500-year flood zone? Obviously, the higher the number goes, the longer than what that says is in 100 years, this property more than likely could flood. Now, more than likely and could are kind of oxymoronic there, but that's the language that they use. And what ends up happening is sometimes people find a house that is in a flood zone, and they have built the house up, they've regraded the road, the pond might be dried up, the creek might be diverted, but the house is still in a quote-unquote flood zone, even though there's no body of water around there. So we have had people contest that, and you can contest it. You can go through the appropriate channels to get that flood zone recertified and changed. It is a process. What most people I have found in dealing with buyers and sellers is most people just do not want to go through that hassle unless there is quite a bit of savings. And we've actually had some people do that where they will buy a house in a flood zone, but the house is honestly not in a flood zone as it sits in 2025, 2024. It might have been in 1980. They buy it at a discount, and then they go through the process of getting it rezoned, and now they've got some really great equity just because sometimes people do not want to buy houses in flood zones, so they're going to discount it when they go to sell. So all that to say, it is a process. It is something you need to be aware of. We spend a lot of our time working with clients through that whole thing, and it is definitely something that you want to know. If you're looking to buy a house, kind of what it looks like, what it is. A lot of times people don't know, and a lot of times even realtors don't know until they go through that process, and then they go to try to get a mortgage, and it is deemed in a flood zone.
As you mentioned, there's several types of flood zone, the 500-year plain, the 100-year floodplain, and in some cases it can be in all of them. And it seems from what I've seen, you would know far more about this than I, but it's all over the place. Sometimes it's $600-800 additionally, and sometimes it can be several $1,000s additionally, depending on of course, the value of the property and that, and then or FEMA determines it, what kind, and it can be in all of those. It can be in a 500-year plain, a 100-year plain. It can be in 2-3 flood zones, and it's important. The reason we talk about this, and somebody says, well, I thought we were a real estate show. Well, okay, if you expect your homeowner's insurance to be $2,000 to $2,500 a year, and all of a sudden you come up and it's twice that much, and it's $4,500 or $5,000 a year, that can be the difference in you qualifying through Kendall to buy the house or not buy the house. That's why we're talking about it. And you need to be aware on the front end about the whole, flood map, flood insurance requirement.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. It is definitely something you want to know as a buyer when you're buying it. Pricing can vary depending on a lot of factors. You can be in a 50-year and a 500-year, and again, you think, well, how does that work? We're dealing with FEMA. Sometimes when you deal with big organizations like that, left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. You have all these different things, and it's just something that you have to navigate through. And then from a pricing standpoint, a lot plays into it, location, the likelihood of it flooding, so many things, the type of house, how many acres, et cetera, that come into play on that. And so it's literally can be, a couple $100 all the way to a couple $1,000 a year.
Yeah, I mean, and can make a big difference. Kendall, I know you've seen that, and I mean, we've dealt with that. Can knock buyers out of the opportunity to buy that particular property, the flood zone versus no flood zone.
It can. I mean, we're dealing with it right now, but you also can find, like what Brad's saying, if you can get a discount on the house and possibly get it out of that designation in the future, that's a great idea. That makes for a good buy. But you have to be concerned if you're not able to change the designation. Now, one day you're the seller of this property, and the other people have to deal with a second homeowner's insurance policy, basically. And what kind of a drag on your selling position is that going to be as well?
Absolutely. Not just on buying. One day you could become a seller, and that's, something to think about, because if you're good with it, the next people may not be. In the market we're in right now with 8,000 plus in inventory, you don't need anything to, like you said, further drag things through the mud. So, thoughts all the way around. Well, Kendall, I've got news here. Our colleague here, Mr. Martin, is getting on a plane tomorrow and flying to Indianapolis. He's going to be at the Thunder, the Oklahoma City Thunder and Indiana Pacers game tomorrow night in Indianapolis, which could be where we clinch the first world championship in the history of this franchise, in the history of Oklahoma City. What about that? I mean, are we dealing with a jet setter and a high roller here or not?
Man, that's awesome, dude. Like, this is a great time for this because, A, you got a holiday. B, the ticket market is soft. I'm sure Brad's getting free tickets from one of his cohorts, but if you have to pay for it, it's a pretty soft market. I think the Indy fans are ready to throw in the towel. And based on the looks of things and the way it's gone, we should have finished it in 5, which is just like the Denver series. But with they're starting to show some fraying, some fraying on the edges with this Indiana team. So I think there's a very high likelihood that Brad is witnessing the title, and if you want to witness the title, you got to head to Indiana.
So, Brad, I mean, it's pretty cool. And interestingly, he said he was went on the road when the Thunder were last in the NBA final, the only other time as the Oklahoma City Thunder had been in the NBA finals in 2012. So it's quite the experience here.
Well, and as you and I talked in the green room before, Coach, when I was there in 2012 in Miami, we lost. And so I don't know if I'm going to be the bad luck when we come back on the air next. I hope I am able to turn around a little bit of my streak being at an away game for an NBA Finals match with the Thunder.
Yeah, boy, exciting stuff for sure. I mean, the could be a parade downtown at some point next week. Come at the late Thursday night or late Sunday night, we're going to have a new NBA champion, here in the next few days, one way or the other. Odds are, according to Las Vegas, not according to me, but, what are some of the crazy stats coming out of Vegas? I mean, the Thunder are a minus 1,700 to win the series. In other words, if you wanted to win $100, you'd have to put up 1,700. That's how heavily they're favored to win the series.
Yeah, what's crazy is if you just wait and watch and pick a spot, you can do so much better than that. Like, the Thunder were minus 225 to win the series before Game 4 when they were down 2-1. And now they win 2 in a row, and now they're minus 1,700, which nobody would bet ever for any reason. Like, you're probably going to win that bet, but the risk versus reward is slightly out of whack.
Yeah. Most definitely. Most definitely. So,
well, the question is, does Halliburton play?
And if he does, which I bet he does, but if he does, is he going to be effective, or is he actually going to be a drag on their ticket?
Yeah, I think he could be more of a drag. I bet they play him very quickly, if anything, or sparingly. Yeah. Kendrick Perkins came online and said he told Kevin Durant the year Kevin Durant had a similar injury in the finals with the Warriors. Sit out, don't waste your career. Perkins on Stephen A. Smith's show told if he was advising Halliburton, he would tell him the same thing. It's not worth playing Game 6 of the NBA Finals to waste your career. Now, Coach, I'm sure as someone that has dealt with some injured players before, that's a little different than kind of maybe play through the pain, toughen it up. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Kirk Gibson comes to mind, these guys that play through pain in a major game.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's I don't like that mindset. I mean, you've got, you got your teammates, you got your team, you got your franchise. I mean, if you can play with any effectiveness at all, you need to try to play. But, again, I mean, he's talking about, a young player that talking about the rest of his career and whatever. They could get hurt worse. And the other thing to think about is how effective is a 50% Tyrese Halliburton going to be anyway? In the last game, he had 4 points and had 0 field goals and was kind of locked up. And I'm not sure if he's not 100% with Lou Dort taking him out and defending him, I'm not sure he's going to be able to do it very much anyway.
Well, Dort's hard to deal with if you're 110%. So
that's right.
At less than 100, I don't know if I'd want to be dealing with that. I project Halliburton to have low minutes and low stats.
Yeah, I think he will dress out. I think he will attempt to play. I mean, I thought. Speaking of that, one of the reasons we talk about the Thunder and our Oklahoma City franchise in relation to real estate, David Holt, I've got some. He met with a group of realtors recently, and some of the quotes from him is pretty interesting. I felt like, and it kind of ties into this. And we always talk about the affordability of homes. This is the most affordable home ownership of any major city in the country, right here in Oklahoma City. Mayor Holt said Oklahoma City now offers the quality of life of a great American city, combined with the ease and cost of living of a much smaller place. That's a truly magical combination. That's a quote, now end of quote, but that's pretty interesting that we have a team here, a great franchise, is going to win a world championship, and we're considered a small market city, but we offer so many things now. Concert, the music, the arts, professional basketball, life of a great American city, but combined with the ease and cost of living of a much smaller place, a magical combination. Not to mention the enhancement of growth and jobs and property values. But let me give you another one. I like this one too. Everyone seems to think that we're going to win a world championship here in Oklahoma City, but it's in Oklahoma City. Every time you say we've arrived, you have to check yourself. It could just be the prelude to another great chapter. So we've got a new arena opening downtown in 2027 that the Thunder will play in. And while I think it's a thing of beauty to watch this unfold, 30 years after the Murrah building bombing, which is downtown and the state and the downtown area was devastated. Now it's thriving, and just a few blocks down the street, we're going to win the world championship, seemingly. And what do you guys, I'll let you guys comment, Brad, and then Kendall. Every time you say we arrive, you have to check yourself, because this could just be the prelude to another great chapter. Brad?
Oh,
what do you think?
100%. If you look at, for us lifelongers like me and Kendall, if you look at what's happened just in the downtown area, we talked about before in previous shows, you wouldn't go downtown at all. It was unsafe. It was, just not a spot that you want to hang out. Now it's thriving. And now with the addition of the new arena, they tore down the old Myriad Guard for us old people, now at Cox Convention Center, and building a way for a new thing. And so absolutely, you have to check yourself. You have to understand that, we're not even there yet. And little things, and I say little, but it's really not, things like winning the NBA championship potentially, I'm not going to count those chickens yet, is another great stepping stone for the city and the state. And so we are not done yet. There's a lot of great things happening. And, it all equates back to real estate and just quality of life and things that happen here for people to have a great work-life balance.
Absolutely. Kendall, I'm going to give you one more quote and then kick it to you. But Mayor David Holt said, "The jobs follow the people. So our greatest economic development strategy has been investing in quality of life. Like the arena," this is meant, that's in the quote, I'm saying, like the arena, like having the Thunder, like the canal, like all the things. I know some people talk about, the maps, tax and the 1 cent tax and all that, but that in, investing in a downtown arena, in good schools and roads and how investing in an economic development strategy, he said the jobs follow the people. Been investing in a great quality of life.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, tying it into real estate, the this is the one city where through all of the ups and downs of markets and big busts and whatever, we never lose money on our real estate. It's just never happened. And with the growth pattern they've got going on, that's going to continue. It's real estate's always a good investment everywhere, I feel like, but here it's become like a guarantee that it's a good investment.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I've told people kind of halfway jokingly or serious, and one thing about since the foundation of this state, in its existence, the property of the value of land, property, homes has never gone down in the state. And I had a guy tell me a few years ago, he said, I'm going to wait this bubble. Prices are going to come really down. I said, not here in this area in Oklahoma City, they're not. Oh, I think they are, and I talked to them, and I said, okay. You guys are following national news. You're not looking at local and regional news. There's not going to be, they're going to stabilize. They're not going to just climb at dramatic rates like they did for a couple of years during COVID in 20 and 21. But there is no bubble. And sitting here about 3 to 4 years after that conversation, we see where we're at. We've got a high inventory. Things move slower, but there's no bubble. Home prices haven't plummeted downward, at all, and nor are they going to, because when you look at the global scale, you've got to look at other cities. We're still far less than Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and just in Atlanta and Miami and Washington D.C. and Denver, and we're far less than comparable cities. So, great quality of life, and certainly the new arena coming downtown and the Thunder and their success is a part of that, without a doubt. All right, before we go, we're down to about a minute. Brad, they wrap it in Game 6, or is it going to come back to Oklahoma City for Game 7? Did the Thunder win, yes or no, and in what game?
Yes, Game 6.
Kendall, same question.
I'm saying yes, Game 6, and if they lose Game 6, I blame Brad.
Okay. I'm going to also say the Thunder win, and I feel like they're going to do it in 6. They're 6.5-point favorites tomorrow night. I'm a little concerned about that. All they got to do is win by 1. I think they're going to close it out tomorrow night in 6. Go Thunder. And for all the listeners to our show, big shout out to you. Thanks for being here. When you're listening live this evening or on the podcast later in the week, thank you for being with us. We're here on Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. The Rick McCormick Show, joined by Kendall Dexter with Security Financial Mortgage and Brad Martin with Premier Insurance. Thanks for being with us. Until next time, may God bless.